Hello YouTubers, 192T project. Let's talk a little bit about what I'm using here. There's the piston kit. Came with the wrist pin and circlips, piston, and the rings were already installed on it. And if you want to save some dough, there's where you can get the Farmer Tech part. So, in order to do this, I haven't placed it, but I'd never touched one of these, so I spent a large amount of time trying to put a circlip on this side. And you know, they're hard to do, and I've got a tool to do it with a 12, but this is a 10. And to make a long story short, this does not use a circlip on this side. And had I read the manual, I would have known that. But you know, when every other one, I just thought you put a circlip in there. Well, that's not the case, and that's okay. I'm glad I only have to put in one. That you'd have to have a tool. I'm telling you, with this straight edge there, there's just not enough room to run your screwdriver around it and wind it down in there. So that's a good thing. And there is not a separate bearing. The bearing is built in. So, you know, when you replace this, like if you were to have to replace the piston, you don't also replace the bearing there. You'd have to replace the whole thing. So I left that, you know, out where you could see the, you know, the pin and the way that's designed and put together there. Okay, so I haven't removed these because they were, of course, already in place. But you'll see, if you look between there, you'll see there's some kind of washer, and then there's the bearing, and then there are the seal, and that's the same over here. So that's the way that's put together there. And you want to be sure that you oil. You've got bearings here, there, here, and of course there. I oiled mine last night twice and moved them around so that they could get, so the interior would be well oiled whenever I started. Using, I don't know if you can see that or not, or how well you can see it, but that's an aftermarket circlip, and that's the OEM circlip. And this is quite a bit larger than that. That was an observation I made. this protrusion there will go on that way. In the manual, they refer to this as the cylindrical side. All right, and this was $1.50 at Stihl. So whenever I ordered this, I think both of these were like $25 together. I had waited 3 weeks on a shipment of parts from Farmer Tech, and I did not want to wait, another 3 weeks. So I went, with the OEM because it wasn't terribly expensive. But in any case, you compress your rings. Oh, and the rings, did I tell you that the rings came already installed on the piston? Okay, so this will go up installed like that whenever I put it in. And there's a particular way that you do it, that and you just push it in and bam. So that's the overview on what I'm going to do. And because this is small and I've already got a video of putting in circlips, so I'll put one of those at the end of the video where you can click it and you can go see if you've never seen that part. But this cleaned up really well. I did a short video on how that occurred, and so I'm ready to go. And this is how the engine will slip in. This is the, of course, where the manifold is, the spark plug, and all. So I'm gonna get this set up off camera, and then I'll turn the camera back on. Oh, I forgot to say, and this is important, the side that has the little hole there where you can get down to the clip goes on the crank side. Okay, I could not get this thing to work. I couldn't get it to, there is an arrow here. See it? And that arrow gets lined up with the piston arrow, that's on top. And this little protrusion goes upward, and that fits inside the recess there in the piston, the cylinder. But I couldn't get it to close, and I mean I worked it and worked it and worked it and worked it. So I made sure that my bore was coated, and I used a thin screwdriver You do everything you can to make sure that your rings aren't pinched and they're centered, and you do everything humanly possible, and then you end up doing something like this. But it the rings were centered whenever I put them down in there, and I didn't twist it like that. I let gravity and the weight of the lamb chops pull it down as I just pushed or pulled, pushed or pulled on the rings to compress them, and it worked its way down in the cylinder. So another thing I noticed on the bigger saws, the arrow points towards the exhaust. Well, it still does here, but your exhaust is offset. So when you place the piston, you are looking inside the cylinder for the placement of the arrow, not on the outside. What else? Okay, so I'm going to take a break because that was, a little more. I always find, since this is a hobby, it's more fun whenever you have accomplished something, especially something that was. I'm going to go do something else and come back to this. But in any case, the next step, I'm going to coat this along with Durco, and I'm going to coat each of the seals around the circumference, and then place this. And remember, I said this will go on the cylindrical side. Not the tapered side. So, and then once I get the engine sealed up, the next step is replacement. That's pretty cool. Okay, thanks a lot for watching. I hope it was helpful. Please like and subscribe.